Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And today, today is that very special day. You know what day it is. That's right. Today is Taco Tuesday.
It's raining tacos from out of the sky.
Okay, do not even begin to ask me why or how we wound up with with two of those running at the same time. But hey, we're going to go ahead and try that just one more time here today on Taco Tuesday.
It's raining tacos from out of the sky. Tacos, no need to ask why. Just open your mouth and close your eyes. It's raining tacos.
It's raining tacos out in the street. Tacos, all you can eat. Lettuce and shells, cheese and meat. It's raining tacos. Yum, 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 yummity yum. It's like a dream.
There you go. Yum, yum, yum. It's like a dream. Taco Tuesday. Gotta love it. America's food. Yes, that is one of America's many, 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 many foods. And as I always like to say, is a perfect example of how America takes what we've brought in, what has come in from the rest of the world, and made it uniquely our own, thus making it better. And that's kind of what America is, isn't it? People come here from all over the world. They bring their traditions, they bring their culture, and it all becomes part of the American culture. That's right. That's right. It all becomes part of the American culture. And as a part of American culture, it is assimilated and it is made even better. Yeah, kind of like the Borg. Resistance is futile. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for tuning in today. Unfortunately, Mike is on the road, so unfortunately he's not going to be able to make it in to do the program today. But I'm here, you're here, so we're here. So we're going to have the opportunity to have tons of conversation. If you are watching the program or listening to the program live on YouTube, on Facebook, on Rumble, on Twitter, we're taking your comments right here. And if we find what you have to say interesting, we'll go ahead and we'll share it with the rest of the audience. And, we don't have to agree with it. Like I said, we just have to find it interesting. And if we do, well, then, hey, you know what we'll do? We'll go ahead and share it. And if we disagree, wait, you know what? No problems. No worries. We'll just mock you because that's okay. We like that. But it's all in fun. It's all in love. Do me a favor. If you're watching right now or wherever you're watching from, do me a favor. Give us a quick shout out. Let us know how you are watching us, although I actually kind of have that information here. But let us know where you are watching us from, what part of the country. Just would love to hear. Would love to just hear from you guys. Just love to get a quick shout out. So go ahead and give us a shout out wherever you are listening or watching or partaking. How about that? How about wherever you are partaking of the program from? On that note, let's go ahead and get into it. And we're going to do what we do at this time every day, and that is start with a quick shout out from or to our sponsors. We're going to start with Hitman Industries. They have the best barrels, no matter what caliber you are looking for, whatever length you're looking for, whatever caliber you are looking for. They are the place to look. If you're looking to do a brand new build, or maybe you're looking to rebarrel your current rifle, check them out today at hitmanindustries.net. If you are a first responder and never bought from them before, guess what? You're going to get a discount. Check them out today. That's hitmanindustries.net. Then we've got the California Republican Assembly working to help elect conservatives. That's right. Conservatives, not just Republicans, but conservatives at all level of government, from school board all the way up to President of the United States. Ronald Reagan once referred to CRA as the conscience of the Republican Party. Go online and visit them at cragop.org. That's cragop.org. If you want to be a part of California's future today, got to join CRA. And then we've got Hog Holsters, the best in concealed carry tactical holsters on the market. All you got to do is go to the website, Hog Holsters, that's HAWG, holsters.com, as they will help Americans wear guns. And by the way, when you go there, make sure you use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, one word, just like it is right up there, and you're going to get a discount on us. So check them out today once again, hogholsters.com. And then finally, if you are looking for tactical gear, if you're looking for your department, if you're looking for your organization, if you're looking for your unit, there is no better place to get a deal, no better place to get great customer service than uscombatgear.com. They have all the things that you could possibly be looking for. They have cold weather gear, hot weather gear, wet weather gear, you name it, they have it. And they'll get it out to you personally. That's right. Check them out today, uscombatgear.com. They have all things tactical except the gun. All right, let's go ahead and get into today's news. It is nice to see that the House of Representatives is getting in on the winning. We've already had President Trump, who through executive orders, who through statements in the media, basically laying down the gauntlet to both our enemies and our allies, letting them know what's up. He has made it very, very clear that there's a new sheriff in town. And as a result of these communications, America has been winning. Right now, you've got in the Senate, you've got confirmation hearings that have been taking place where his nominees have been up, and they've been going before various Senate committees. And clearly, the members of the Senate of these various Senate committees who are opposing these folks, they're just not up to the task. And whether it's Hegseth, whether it's Tulsi Gabbard, whether it's RFK, whether it's Kash Patel, I mean, you name it, whether it's Duffy, they're running roughshod over these Senate committees. And when I say running roughshod, I mean that as the feeble attempts to stand in their way or to make them out to be something that they are not, as the members of the Senate who are attempting to do that embarrass themselves, they are being further embarrassed by the responses that are coming from Donald Trump's nominees. It is a sad, sad day. But now finally, the House of Representatives is getting in on it. That's right. They're now getting in on the love. And they're starting by taking the first step in helping Donald Trump keep one of his big campaign promises, and that is the elimination of the Department of Education. Forbes is reporting that Republicans have taken a key first step to eliminate the department. Now, according to Forbes, they're saying imperiling student loan programs. Let's be clear. We'll touch on this a little bit later. But anyway, they've taken a key first step by introducing a measure that will eliminate the department. As they are reporting, Republican lawmakers took a key step last week to officially abolish the U.S. Department of Education, reintroducing a bill that would eliminate the federal agency. The bill is just the latest step Republicans in Washington have taken to try to dismantle the department. Meanwhile, the Trump administration seems poised to further disrupt the department's staffing and operations by placing some employees on leave. It may not be easy for the department, which oversees the nation's educational system and manages a federal student loan program that exceeds $1 trillion, to be completely dismantled, but major staffing changes, funding cuts, and potential shutdown of programs and projects that could still have significant impacts for millions of Americans, including many student loan borrowers, even if the department itself survives. Here's the latest. Now, in this report, Forbes, which, oh, by the way, for those of you on the left who think that Forbes is a conservative, no, they're not. It's not a conservative. Forbes tends to be a very left-leaning, at least the editorial staff over there, the people who do the writing and whatnot, tend to be very, very, they are what I call free market liberals, meaning they may appear to be pro-business, but they're very pro-corporate. And a lot of stuff they write that has nothing to do with business is just flat-out leftist. But anyway, so one of the things that they're focusing on here, they're talking about here, is the elimination of the department. Now, first of all, let's be clear. The department didn't exist until 1976. It was actually created during the well, it was, let me clarify. It was initially created in 76. It didn't open its doors until 79. So it was created during, guess what? The Carter administration. That's right. One of the great boondoggles. Anyway, the Federal Department of Education has done nothing to improve the quality of education for our nation's kids. I mean, I sit on a school board. I've been on a school board for 20 years. I can tell you that, for our school district, right around 7%, so less than 10% of our overall budget of any of the resources that we get come from the federal government. So it's not a huge impact, I guess, depending on the programs that you've implemented or how dependent you are on federal government dollars, will depend on whether or not this is a big deal to you. Now, one of the things that I can say is that a lot of the regulations, a lot of the controls, a lot of the things that we are forced to do, much more than 10% of our overall expenses are tied to federal mandates and federal requirements. So to see the federal Department of Education go away would not necessarily, in my eyes, be a bad thing. Because one, we could see a lot of those resources be sent directly to the directly to the schools, to local school districts where the best education decisions are made, and they're made closest to the kids, first and foremost by the parents, and then by the local school, and then by the local school district. If it's a smaller school district, when I say smaller, there's a difference. I mean, there's definitely an economy of scale by having a moderate-sized school district, a certain size school district that incorporates a number of schools, including the entire gambit from K all the way up to high school. There's certain economies of scale you get, but at a certain point, when you get, for example, the size of the Los Angeles school district, where all of their school board members are full-time, where they have almost 1 million students that they serve, you get to a point where most of your time is spent making decisions about sporks and about union contracts than it is actually about the quality of education that your students are getting. You also miss out on the fact that every school, every community has its own culture, right? They have their own things, their own way things go. And what I like about my school district, we're a small school district. We only have 5 elementary schools. We have a middle school charter school, and then we also have a preschool. But what I like about it is I know the cultures at each of my school sites. I know the leaders at each of those school sites. I know that as we implement policies, I get to see the impact right away. I mean, there's not layers upon layers upon layers of administrators and bureaucracies between me and the programs and the impact of those programs. So we get a chance to see it, and it gives us the ability to move nimbly. And anyway, so I'm a big fan of that. So to see the resources, the decision making being made or being switched to the local level, that's a good thing in my eyes. I support that very, 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 very much. Now, the big question is being brought in terms of, well, how is this going to affect student loan programs? Well, student loans were not always administered by the federal government. In fact, they used to be administered by banks. Now, they were guaranteed by the federal government, but they were not administered by the federal government. For some reason, the federal government decided it was the thing for them to do was to get plugged into and start taking those things over. The problem is that then you wind up with things like, this blanket student loan forgiveness that the Supreme Court told President Joe Biden, or former President Joe Biden, was not constitutional, that he didn't have the authority to do it. And guess what he decided to do? He ignored it. He ignored the courts. He ignored what the courts told him. And he decided he was going to go ahead and start forgiving student loans anyway. So as you go on and you start to look in this particular article here, there at Forbes, they're talking about the introduction of the bill. They try and find ways. Well, this is why it's not going to happen. They talk about why it's so hard and the steps it's going to take to disrupt the department. Trust me, nothing that happens at that department is going to disrupt your kid's education. Absolutely nothing. In fact, they do more at this department to disrupt your children's education than anyone eliminating the department can do to disrupt your education. And then they come here, shut down a student loan may be difficult to accomplish. Now, this they are correct about. Number one, because there's such a slim majority in the House of Representatives, and then you've got the Senate where you still have the filibuster. You're going to have to try and find a way to get some Democrats on board to be able to make those changes. And I think there are still some key areas where I think a federal Department of Education, in terms of as an advisory capacity, in terms of a data collection capacity, can be helpful, but I don't think that they need to be regulating local schools. Anyway. And then you hear it says funding and staffing cuts at the Department of Education could impact student loan forgiveness and, what is that? repayment programs. Here's what they're worried about. They're not worried about the repayment programs. They're worried about the loan forgiveness programs. They want to make sure. They want to make certainly sure that that loans are forgiven. The loans that President Biden said would be forgiven. They want to make sure that those loans, they want to make sure that they're forgiven. And I think that's a bad idea. I mean, I always said it was a bad idea. The fact is that most of the people who are taking out these student loans, a huge percentage of them now are earning significantly more money than those who didn't take out student loans. But if you and I, the taxpayers who didn't go to college, who opted not to go get student loans, who opted not to go get a graduate degree. I mean, I opted when I was a young man, I thought about going to get a postgraduate degree, but I opted not to. I opted not to because I knew that it was cost prohibitive and it would be difficult for me to earn that money back. Right? I said, you know what? I got family. I made the responsible decision. I didn't want to go into hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt in order to get a postgraduate degree. I know people who did. I know people. In fact, I know people right now who are earning six figures, who are 5% income earners, who got hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan forgiveness. For the life of me, and I'm like, so wait a minute. So you're telling me 5%ers, and those are the folks who are getting this loan forgiveness, the 5%ers, the people who are the top 5% of income earners, people who have postgraduate degrees, people who have law degrees, people who have medical degrees, who are earning very, very good money. They're the ones who are getting this loan forgiveness. And no, I do not support it. I do not support it one little bit. So yeah, no, I'm all for the Department of Education going away. And by the way, just so you know, y'all still will have to pay back those student loans even if they go away. That function will go somewhere else. Trust me. We gonna get it. Taxpayers gonna get their money. At least that's what I'm hoping. Anyway. That moves us on to our next story. For those of you who do not know, confirmation hearings are still taking place. Two of the most controversial figures in this, that have been nominated by President Trump, are former Democrats. One of them being RFK, or Robert F. Kennedy Jr., as well as Tulsi Gabbard. Once again, two former Democrats. RFK was tapped to run HHS, Health and Human Services, and then you also had Tulsi Gabbard, who was tapped to be the National Security. Let me look it up here again. Not National Security Advisor. Anyway, here we go. Let me pull it up. See, I probably should have known that before I said anything. But anyway, let me pull the story up here. So it looks like they're both on their way to confirmation. Here it says Senate committee backs Tulsi Gabbard as next intelligence chief. It says here the Senate Intelligence Committee on Tuesday voted 9-8 to back President Donald Trump's pick for Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, clearing an important hurdle for her nomination. The committee's action opens the way for the full Senate to decide if Gabbard should be confirmed as the country's top-ranking intelligence official. Now, once again, this is a vital step. This is an important step. Tulsi Gabbard, if there's one thing I can say, I think that Tulsi Gabbard is a true American. I think she is a patriot. I think she is committed to making sure that our intelligence is free of bias, and represents first and foremost American interest. And that's what's important. I mean, intelligence is intelligence. And what I appreciate is the fact that she's not a person who's going to support intelligence that's going to get us into, that is going to falsely get us into international entanglements. And I think that's important. Whether you're looking, at, the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, whether you're looking at, whatever it is, whether we're looking to the future, when it comes to what's going on in the Middle East or what's going on with China, it's important that we have somebody who has an America first mentality. In other words, someone who's thinking about what's best for America and not necessarily looking to get us engaged in stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, that's a key factor right there, is making sure we have somebody who who looks at it skeptically, and I think we should always look at our intelligence skeptically, because we want to make sure that what we're getting is correct, right? Anyway, I think she's going to be phenomenal in that role. I'll put it this way. Let me go back. I trust Donald Trump's decision making on this more than I trust her. How about that? Does that fit? Does that make sense? Anyway, he should get the person that he wants. Also, we have RFK Jr. appears to be on track to become U.S. Health Secretary as he wins key Republican senators' support. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a vocal vaccine skeptic and activist lawyer, appeared on track to become the nation's health secretary after winning a crucial support of Republican Senator Bill Cassidy, a doctor who says Kennedy has assured him he would not topple the nation's childhood vaccination program. Now, I first of all, I will confess that I hadn't spent a whole lot of time looking into RFK and the exact statements that he made regarding vaccines, prior to coming out and supporting Donald Trump. But I have made it a point to look at what he has said since. I've made it a point. I've actually read his book, The Real Anthony Fauci, and I've read his positions and the positions that he's taken, at least in that book on vaccines. And that was a book, by the way, that was written well before he decided that he was going to be a supporter of Donald Trump. And as he has always said, as he has said in that book, and as he has said during his support with Donald Trump, he's made it very clear. He is not anti-vaccine. He has had concerns about things that are in vaccines, about the fact that a lot of the data and the information that has been put forward on vaccines none of it's ever been questioned. No one's ever looked at it. No one's ever said, hey, are we making sure that these things are safe? Even if we thought they were safe, are we still making sure that we're looking at it? And really questioning Big Pharma to make sure that we're getting all of the information. I mean, the idea, the fact that we trust them to provide the studies themselves, that we don't use independent third-party testing or verification is a big deal. It really is. He wants greater standards to make sure, he wants better, more improved standards to make sure that whatever happens, whatever drugs we are approving, he wants to make sure that the standards are objective. He wants to make sure that the numbers aren't being padded in order to get these things approved. I think his position on the vaccine, in particular, when it came to the COVID vaccine, that's the one in particular I'm talking about. The very fact that we know that we were lied to by the American government, by the Biden administration. We were lied to about, if you get it, you won't catch it and you won't distribute it. We were lied to when we were told that, if you get it, then, you'll be safe and you'll be able to go out and do anything. We were lied to when we were told, when they ignored the value of having natural immunity. They flat out lied to us. When it came to the efficacy of some of these alternatives like ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine or anticlonal antibodies, they lied to us because they wanted to try and fast track the approval of the vaccine. And as a result, by the way, of those particular lies, there are hundreds of thousands of people who died that didn't need to. There are people who, if they had been honest, if the government had been honest, would not have died, because they potentially could have gotten a hold of some of these alternatives, some of these therapeutics early in their infection. And that's one of the big areas. If you read the book, The Real Anthony Fauci, if you read that book, one of the things that it points out is how even when they were studying it, when they decided to look into these alternatives, how they misused them, right? They waited till someone was in late stage COVID before they decided to give them ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine. And then were surprised when it didn't work, when the main point of those was to reduce the ability for someone to deal with, or the impact of the side effects that tended to be the most dangerous, that would tend to often lead to death. They mitigated a lot of those side effects, but it only happened, and it was only effective early on, and They didn't. That's how they studied it. That's not how they used it. And then they lied, and they lied to the media, and they had the media and social media lie to the American people. So this is stuff that we now know, right? We know that 6 feet was pulled out of someone's rear end, that there was no science behind it. We know that masks were basically a facial decoration. Once again, they lied to us. He wants to make sure that we're getting the truth, right? He wants to make sure that, and I totally agree with him on this. He wants to make sure that instead of just focusing on pharmaceuticals, we're focusing on being healthy. Why are we not talking about why was it during COVID? No one in the government was talking about, hey, if you exercise and you reduce your body fat, right? You get healthier. If you make sure you have enough vitamin D, you reduce the likelihood of having serious side effects from COVID. That's right. The most common comorbidity for COVID deaths was obesity, and yet they did nothing. They did nothing. They promoted nothing to help reduce obesity. In fact, they did everything possible to keep people from exercising and working out and getting plugged in. So anyway, I think he's interested in making sure that Americans are healthy. That health and human services is about health, not just about pharmaceuticals, not just a way in which to approve and push things and push through pharmaceuticals so that we can become a more medicated society as opposed to a healthier society. So good news, because folks, these are the challenging people. I mean, if they're going through, then everybody's going through, period. Just so you know, in case you didn't know, now you know. All right, let's talk about being lied to. The whole DEI, CRT scam, the whole anti-racism scam is being pulled down brick by brick. First, we saw it with Black Lives Matter, where you had the founders of Black Lives Matter buy multi-million-dollar homes, one of which actually burned down during the LA fire. Talk about karma. But anyway. And then we've seen, once again, we've also seen, as studies and reports come out, that the numbers from corporations, from businesses, from entities that have implemented these DEI programs, that racial harmony has gotten worse, that racial strife has gotten worse, that as opposed to having more diversity in their leadership ranks, they've actually wound up having less diversity in their leadership ranks. We had already heard about our good friend Mr. Ibram X. Kendi, the race huckster, who actually got $10 million to start a program to actually study quote unquote anti-racism. Well, we know that it got shut down because, after $10 million, they did not put out one single study. Not one. $10 million spent. Not one single study. Not one single research paper done on anti-racism. Well, the final nail has been put in the coffin as Boston University closes Ibram X. Kendi's Center for Anti-Racism Research, meaning they have closed it for good. Boston University has announced that the Ibram X. Kendi Center for Anti-Racist Research will officially close on June 30th, meaning it gone. Boston University has announced that the Ibram X. Kendi Center for Anti-Racist Research will officially close June 30th. June 30, with Kendi leaving BU to join Howard University. The school published an update about the center's future in BU today. Quote, BU hired Kendi, the leading historian and anti-racist scholar. Okay, I'm sorry. Was that me laughing? Yes, that was me laughing. In 2020, from American University in Washington, D.C. to open the center, BU today says. His arrival at BU followed a string of killings of black men and women in the United States, most notably the May 2020 murder of George Floyd by police officers in Minneapolis. The explosion of activism and interest in the subject led to several strong years of fundraising and research. It led to several strong years of fundraising, but now we know there wasn't any research. Anyway, the center's 12 remaining employees will remain through June 30th and are receiving resources and support to assist in their transitions according to BU Today. Campus reform has covered Kendi's anti-racist activism for years, including his 2023 remark that scrutinized that CARE was racist. CARE was reportedly in financial trouble for the last year as it laid off half its staff in September 2024. Kendi released a statement in which he acknowledged the challenges of operating the center, but noted that he was proud of what he was able to accomplish. Of course he's proud. He built the university out of $10 million. He went around the country. He had places paying him tens of thousands of dollars to show up and call them racists. To say, if you are right, if you are white, you are a racist. If you are black, you are oppressed and can only be successful if the white man lets you. He made a career of this. I mean, if there is a dude that qualifies as a race pimp in this generation, it's Ibram X. Kendi, right? I mean, he took Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton's game to a whole new level, right? He took it to a whole new level. I mean, the only person that I can say is probably close to him in this generation in terms of doing this is Ben Crump, who's going around suing everybody. But see, now as DEI is starting to fall by the wayside, now as all of this racial conflict is it has been stirred up because of efforts like Ibram X. Kendi and Ben Crump. I think even Mr. Crump is going to start to see some of his things fall by some of his financial blessings fall by the wayside, or opportunities. There you go. Some of his opportunities fall by the wayside. But folks, I am so glad to see this happen. It couldn't happen to a worse guy. Glad, very, very happy to see that this department is gone and needs to be gone. I'm not here to tell you that America is perfect. I'm not here to tell you that there is no racism in America, but there is, because there is. I mean, just not gonna lie to you. Now, do I believe that it is systemic? No, because I believe we have done a lot to root out a lot of that quote unquote systemic racism. Do I believe that we're on a level playing field? We are as close to a level playing field as we have ever been. But the issues that need to be addressed, the ones that seem to disproportionately impact certain communities, will be best addressed by addressing the issues, not the race of the people who are dealing with those issues. Whether it's whether it's the lack of fathers being in the home, whether it's the poor quality of education in our urban centers, whether it is poverty, none of those things have anything to do with the skin color of those who are suffering them. So if we address the issues, and we work to make sure that that people have access, people, no matter what their race, gender identity, religion, color of their skin, no matter what any of that has to do, as long as we know that they have access to those potential solutions that are real solutions that deal with root causes, then they'll have the opportunity to be successful. And that's it. It ain't that hard. I want to say it's not that hard. It's not that difficult. Right? I mean, it's not that, it's simple, but not easy, right? Change is never easy. It really isn't. Change is not easy. So I get that. But sometimes, it's not complicated. Change. You know what? I will tell you, there are people who I know who are making decisions that were heading down the wrong path, that were engaged oftentimes with law enforcement, that were living in poverty, and they started making different choices. And when they started making different choices, all of a sudden, the future choices that they had started changing. The opportunity to make better choices, to be able to choose from different things, right? That's the thing. If you have to choose from going hungry or stealing, that's because you made a lot of bad choices that got you to the point where those were the two choices that you had. But if you start making different choices, if you start making better choices, then all of a sudden you get to start making choices between, do I go to Vaughn's and shop, or do I go to Rayleigh's, right? Do I get to choose from, do I get to choose from a Mercedes, or do I get to choose from a BMW? Do I get to choose whether or not my children get to go to college, or they get to go to a trade school and learn a craft, right? Once again, better choices. I always told my kids when they were in school, I said, look, I'm not saying you have to go to college, but if you get better grades, then you have better choices. You have more options. When the time comes that you graduate from when they graduated from high school, they had options because they had decent grades. Duh. Once again, it's not that hard to figure out. Put yourself in better positions, and that's what I think we want to do here. Is we want to do our best to try and put people we want to try and put people in better situations. All right, moving on to our next story. Oh, you guys will love this one. Target. Now, by the way, you might know a lot of companies, a lot of corporations have been involved in the whole DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion scams. And in many cases, so what happens is a lot of these corporate executives, they've gone to the colleges and the universities, the Yales, the Harvards, the Stanfords, all of these places where DEI was a big, big thing. And it was pushed in all of the schools, not just in the School of Education, but also in the business schools and everywhere else. Anyway, so when they then went out into these corporations, they started instituting these programs in these corporations. They were told, yeah, it'll improve your bottom line. That's what the whole Blackstone, right? Vanguard and Blackstone, that's what that whole ESG scoring is making sure that you're down with the DEI, that you are socially responsible, your social score, right? So you implement these programs, you'll get a good social score, and then these companies will then be more likely to invest in you, and it'll improve your profitability. The problem is that if these companies are investing in you, if they're more likely to invest in you, it doesn't improve your profitability. It just means you have more resources to invest. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you are making more money. But that's not how they sold it to investors. How they sold it to investors was it's going to make you more profitable. Well, when it turned out that it didn't, well, then folks decided, you know what, let's do what we do and it's time to sue. And that's exactly what happened. So here you have, as being reported by Reuters, Target is sued for defrauding shareholders about DEI. Target has been sued for allegedly concealing the risks of its diversity and social initiatives, leading to a backlash that caused customers to flee and the stock price of the Minneapolis-based retailer to plummet. In a proposed class action on Friday, shareholders led by the City of Rivera Beach Police Pension Fund in Florida said Target defrauded them into paying inflated prices for its stock and unknowingly supporting management's misuse of investor funds to serve political and social goals. The lawsuit said the retailer CEO Brian Cornell and other officials failed to disclose the risk of consumer boycotts stemming from Target's environmental, social, and governance and diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. It also said Target concealed backlash from its May 2023 Pride Month campaign, which led the retailer to remove some LGBTQ-themed merchandise after in-store confrontations led to some employees to fear for their safety. Target's share price fell 22% on November 20th, 2024, wiping out about $15.7 billion of market value after it forecast disappointing profit and holiday sales. And that's because, folks, go woke, go broke. And that's the funny part is that when they said that it would increase profits, that it would make them more profitable, that it would improve their bottom line, what they meant was, well, Vanguard and BlackRock will, or Blackstone or BlackRock, anyway, they'll invest more money right? Or you'll have a better ESG score, so you'll get them, that whole social investing thing. Yeah, social investing ignores the fact that there are a lot of people who don't agree with some of the social things that you are doing. And when you start selling swimsuits that allow and promoting swimsuits that have little boys tucking, and if you don't know what tucking is, you haven't been watching the show, but to basically hide their stuff, shall we say, then yeah, there's going to be backlash. There's going to be a lot of people in a lot of communities that shop at Target who aren't cool with that. Now, the other parts where they lied is because the people making the decisions in these particular cases, they're not exactly the sharpest knives in the drawers. They're not the best people to be making these decisions. Because if you had real marketers, right, people who were interested in marketing your store, marketing the products in the store, as opposed to marketing a social agenda, then you would have realized that all these things do is divide people. I mean, Michael Jordan, way back in the day, when he said, look, when they asked him, well, why won't he speak out against Republicans? He said, because Republicans buy shoes too. Because he understood his job was to sell shoes, right? If he wanted to make a political statement, he could do that with his money, right? He could do that with his money later. But you know what? While he's running a business, he was going to make sure that the statement he was going to make is buy Jordans, right? In this particular case, the main thing that they need to be pushing out and promoting is, buy from Target, shop at Target. Anyway, they blew that one clearly and obviously, but I have a feeling they're going to wind up winning this lawsuit. And by the way, it's not going to be the last, because you got to figure investors in Budweiser and Bud Light, they're going to be dealing with they're going to be coming out. There are going to be a number of folks who are going to be in various different companies, because this ESG investing, it's all over the place. It is all over the Dow. It's all over the investment markets. Anyway, so they're going to be dealing with that stuff for a while. All right, folks, so that now brings us to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, and get your hog holster today. All right, let's pull these up here. Okay, this first one here, you've heard about the federal employees who have come out and they're like very upset and angry that the president is like, look, either you come back to work or you're going to be fired. We want you in at work 5 days a week, and if you want to quit, look, hey, we'll pay you through September. But he's making it very clear. You're going to implement Trump's vision, or you are going to be gone. And as a result, because they are so frustrated, they decided that they put together their own song. You might remember the song Richmond, North of Richmond. Well, they have these folks now have their own little ditty.
I've been working till the break of 4:45. I get an automatic raise, and I can't be fired. Must wait till age 57 till I can retire with an inflation-adjusted pension that continuously keeps going higher. Oh, it's a damn shame what the world's come to. They want us back in the office on Mondays too. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is not living in the real world. It's a lot harder than you'd know. Sure, I got dental, but it's bad I go mental. 'Cause I had to fill out both of these forms. I also see price hikes on necessities. I had to purchase my rental in Ocean City. Please don't tell anyone. It's so embarrassing, the plight of rich man, north of Richmond.
Hey, we have to have cameras on for today's meeting.
I just sit here wasting my whole life away, 'cause this verification code is taking all day. How do you expect me to check my 401k? Plus my fudge round supplier no longer takes Apple Pay. Oh, it's a damn shame what the world's come to. It takes one person to do my job, so we have to. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is. Not living in the real world is a lot harder than you'd know. Sure, I got health care, but I get an in-depth scare. Only weeks left to open and roll. New guy plays with his pen, he just sits there and snaps. How am I to get in on my 2 p.m. naps? They want us back now on Tuesdays, I just might collapse. The plight of rich man, north of Richmond. We're just like you.
Okay, that was one of the most entertaining things I've seen come out of the folks over at Reason. Anyway, congratulations, folks, guys, over at Reason. That was phenomenal. I love that. I love that. Now, one of the other things that I found to be very what's the word I'm looking for? Ironic, right? Is the arguments when it comes to dealing with deportation of the illegal criminal aliens, and I'm going to call them illegal criminal, in particular, violent illegal criminals that are. Testing 1 2. There we go. We're back. Apologize about that, folks. My my little sound modulator fell. Sorry about that. Anyway, as I was saying, okay. Anyway, what's funny is that one of the biggest arguments that we're seeing now coming from people is, and I've seen it all over social media, and you'll notice the I don't want to give it away because it's funny, but it is incredibly ironic. Anyway, I thought you guys would enjoy this. Tell me if you see something incredibly ironic or similar between these two arguments. Now, the first had to deal with the freeing of the slaves in 1864, and the other has to do with our current situation, deporting those who have entered our country illegally.
What do you mean? All of them? We gotta let them all go? Man, who's gonna pick all my cotton and who's gonna pick all my food? He's gonna get all of them? He's gonna round them all up. That's great. Who's gonna wash my car, mow my yard, take care of my kids, pick all my food? Trumpers.
Yeah, that's them. That is literally their argument. That is the position that they're going with. Anyway, and then finally we've got this last one. You're gonna love this one. This is for all the folks who were out there protesting for the against the deportation. It says illegal aliens protesting in America. You've got one guy, he's holding a Mexican flag. He's got a T-shirt on that's got an I Heart Mexico flag. And then he's got a burning American flag. And he says, "We're not going back." Yeah, that's pretty much the way that they're doing it. Anyway, folks, that's going to be it for today's program. We very much appreciate you tuning in. But before we go, let's give one last quick shout out to our sponsors. We've got Hitman Industries, rifle and pistol caliber barrels at any length available for you at hitmanindustries.net. We've got the California Republican Assembly, the conscience of the Republican Party. We've got a Hog of Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. And then finally, we've got all things tactical except the gun at uscombatgear.com. And with that, we're going to call it a day. We will be back tomorrow on Hump Day. Y'all have fun. Stay safe. We'll see you soon.